trade rumors are escalating, and honestly, this might be perfect timing for the 49ers. I know that sounds a little crazy at first because the team has made it clear they want to keep Mac Jones, and on the surface that makes total sense. He stepped in when Brock Purdy went down, he stabilized the offense, and he helped keep this season from completely falling apart. But if you really take a step back and look at the bigger picture, this might be one of those moments where the smart move isn't the comfortable one. Let's be real for a second. When Purdy was out and injuries were stacking up everywhere, this team could have spiraled. The locker room could have lost belief. The season could have been over before it even had a chance. Instead, Mac Jones came in and played composed football. Not perfect, not MVP level, but steady, efficient, good enough to win games. And sometimes, especially in this league, that's all you need. A lot of fans would argue the 49ers don't even sniff the playoffs. Without him holding things together, that matters. And because he played that well, because he showed he can operate inside Kyle Shanahan's system, because he looked comfortable and confident, his value might never be higher than it is right now. That's the part nobody wants to talk about. When a player proves he can win games in your system, the rest of the league notices. Quarterback-needy teams are watching. Front offices are evaluating. Coaches are thinking, if he can do that there, maybe he can do it here. Now here's the real tension. Keeping Mac Jones is the safe move. It gives you elite insurance behind Brock Purdy. If Purdy misses time again, you're not panicking. You're not scrambling. You're not signing someone off the street. You've got someone who's already proven he can function in this offense. That's valuable. There's no denying that. But trading him, that might be strategic. That might be selling high at exactly the right moment. And if you're serious about winning, now while also protecting your future assets, sometimes you have to make tough decisions that don't feel great emotionally, but make sense on paper. So let me ask you this directly. If a team offered a second-round pick for Mac Jones right now, are you taking it? Yes or no? I want you to be honest with yourself. Type KEP if you want him locked in as the backup. Type trade if you think this is the moment to capitalize. I'm genuinely curious where you stand on this because this is not an easy call, and if you care about staying ahead of every single Niners rumor like this, make sure you're subscribed. We're pushing toward 2,000 subscribers, and if you're watching but not subscribed yet, you're part of the reason we haven't hit it. It's free, it takes 2 seconds, and it makes sure you don't miss anything if this situation shifts fast. Because here's where this starts to get really interesting. The 49ers are publicly saying they have no plans to trade him, but when you look at how well he played, how high his stock might be, and how desperate some teams are at quarterback, you have to wonder if what they're saying publicly lines up with what could be happening behind the scenes. And that's exactly what we're diving into next. Now let's dig into why his stock might never be higher than it is right now, because this is where things really start to shift from emotional decision to calculated strategy. Publicly, the messaging has been clear. Reports say the 49ers have no plans to trade Mac Jones and fully intend to bring him back as Brock Purdy's backup. On the surface, that sounds stable, that sounds responsible. And honestly, if they keep him, you can't criticize that decision. Proven backup quarterbacks in this league are hard to find. But at the same time, you've got respected voices around the league saying the trade market for him could be robust. And that word matters. Robust means competitive. It means multiple teams, it means leverage, and when you have leverage, you at least have to listen. Here's what makes this even more fascinating. Kyle Shanahan has liked Mac Jones for a long time. Go back to when Jones was coming out of Alabama. There were real conversations and real speculation that Shanahan saw him as a fit for this system. That relationship didn't just appear out of nowhere this season. It's been there, and Jones himself has acknowledged that connection. That tells you this isn't just some random backup experiment. There's real belief. in his ability to operate this offense, and if you watched the games, you saw it. He didn't look overwhelmed. He didn't look lost. He looked comfortable distributing the ball, managing tempo, and making the right read within structure. When you compare the numbers between him and Brock Purdy during the season, they're not worlds apart. Passing yardage was close, touchdown production was comparable. Efficiency metrics were in the same neighborhood. Now, let's be clear, this is not a quarterback controversy. Brock Purdy is the guy. That's not changing. But what it does show is that Mac Jones played starting caliber football. And that's exactly why his value has climbed. We just watched Sam Darnold rebuild his career after time in this system. He developed, he refined his decision-making, and he went elsewhere and thrived. That creates a reputation. Around the league, there's now a belief that quarterbacks who spend time in San Francisco come out better. Fair or not, that perception exists, and perception drives trade value. So let me ask you something. Do you think the 49ers are being completely honest about not trading him, or could this be strategic positioning? Because if you're John Lynch, you're not going to publicly announce you're shopping your backup quarterback. Of course you're going to say you plan to keep him. That protects leverage. That forces teams to come stronger with their offers. On a scale from 1 to 10, how confident are you that Mac Jones starts for another team next season? Drop your number in the comments. I want to see where the fan base stands on this. And if you appreciate breaking this down logically instead of just reacting emotionally, hit like on the video. That tells the algorithm this is the kind of 49ers content worth pushing out, and it helps us get closer to that 2,000 subscriber goal. We're building something real here for serious Niners fans. Because once you accept that his value is legitimately high, the next question becomes obvious: which teams are actually picking up the phone? And when you look around the league, there are a few situations that make a lot of sense. That's where this conversation really heats up. Alright, let's talk about the teams that could realistically come calling, because this is where the conversation stops being hypothetical and starts feeling very real. When you scan the league, there are more quarterback question marks than stable situations, and that alone should tell you something. If you have a quarterback who just proved he can function at a starting level, there's a market for that. The first team that jumps out is Minnesota. There's uncertainty there. Development hasn't gone exactly as planned, and when you've already experienced letting a quarterback walk who then finds success elsewhere, that lingers. Front offices remember that. Coaching staffs remember that. If you're sitting there wondering whether your current quarterback is the long-term answer, bringing in someone who just operated efficiently in a proven system becomes appealing. And from the 49ers' perspective, Minnesota has pieces that could at least make the conversation interesting. I'm not saying blockbuster deal. I'm saying the framework exists for a real discussion. Then you look at Pittsburgh. The Steelers always feel like they're one stable quarterback away from being dangerous. There's uncertainty there as well, and if you're trying to compete in a tough division, you can't afford instability under center. They've cycled through options. They've dealt with inconsistency. If they decide they need someone who can step in and simply execute, Mac Jones fits that description. Now, the return package there might look different. It might be more draft capital than player for player. But again, it only takes one motivated team to drive value up. Atlanta is another situation worth monitoring. Front office changes, long-term plans still forming, and multiple moving pieces at quarterback. When there's transition, there's opportunity. And if someone in that building believes they can maximize Jones' skill set, you could see interest emerge quickly. Teams don't always telegraph these moves ahead of time. Sometimes it's quiet until it isn't, and then there are the quieter whispers. Teams with injury histories at quarterback, teams evaluating long-term durability. Teams that don't want to enter the season one hit away from collapse. The Dolphins are a name that's floated in conversations about long-term quarterback stability. Even if nothing is imminent, those are the types of organizations that at least evaluate every option. Here's the reality. There are more teams needing quarterback answers than there are reliable quarterbacks available. That imbalance creates leverage, and if multiple teams start asking about availability, the price goes up. That's just how this works, so let me ask you this. If you had to pick one destination that makes the most sense, where are you sending him? Vikings, Steelers, Falcons? Someone completely different. Drop the team name in the comments and tell me what you'd want back in return. Draft pick, player swap, be specific, and make sure you're subscribed, because if a real offer surfaces or a team officially reaches out, we're breaking it down immediately. These situations can flip fast, and you don't want to be the last one finding out. Because now that we've established there's a realistic market, the biggest question remains, would the 49ers actually pull the trigger the right offer comes in? Or is the security of keeping him too valuable to give up? That's the decision that defines whether this front office is playing it safe or playing it smart.